Thank you so much for joining us for yet another live session on Networking Now. This is something that I'm actually very excited about today because Sahil Vora is the one joining us today, and Sahil and Rushabh have founded SILA Real Estate and SILA Engage, and I really respect the two of them and absolutely love the work that they do and the sincerity with which they do the work. And you know, the entire team, I can see a lot of people joining in. Sorry, that's what's distracting me. But to just give you a brief, SILA is a real estate platform driven by entrepreneurial spirit. Over the last few years, SILA has efficiently scaled to become one of the fastest growing real estate services company in India, managing over 30 million square feet assets with over 7,000 employees. SILA provides facility management, project management and turnkey interior contracting to various sectors within real estate and has a diverse client base of large corporates. Today we're mainly talking about the crisis we're facing. We're talking about different things about SILA Engage, employee engagement. So Sahil's going to touch upon all these things, and let me just bring him on the live as well. Just give me a second. Yes. So please ask your questions. We'll address them at the end of the session. I have a few questions that I've already written down for Sahil, and I hope that you have some questions because this is a trying time for everyone, and I do know that everyone is going through something and doesn't know really what's coming next. So I'll just bring him on. But to tell you a little bit about Sahil, he moved back to India to pursue his passion for entrepreneurship. Along with his younger brother Rushabh, they started SILA to explore opportunities in the Indian real estate sector. Sahil's leadership capabilities and track record over the last few years led him to be named in Entrepreneur Magazine's 35 Under 35 list in 2018. Also, very crucial point, Sahil is an avid sportsman and was a member of the Indian national squash team too. So I find this really interesting and cool. And they do such amazing work. I'm so excited to have him here today because, as I told you, both the brothers inspire me constantly, and I'm constantly running ideas off them. So please listen in and ask your questions at the end as well. I'm going to loop Sahil in now. Hi Sahil.
Hi Sean, how are you?
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. As good as one can be during this time.
Yeah, really. Working from home?
Yeah, working from home.
Okay, so I just introduced you, but I'd love for you to say a few things about SILA Engage and SILA, just to give people, from your side, a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so I heard the introduction. Thank you for it. So as you mentioned, we started SILA, now it's almost 10 years ago, in the real estate services space. And ever since we started, we had an aspiration and interest to be in the real estate sector, and we've grown within that, now employing around 7,000 employees pan-India, and providing services like facilities management, interior contracting, and recently even got into real estate development. While we have been growing SILA, we've seen this change in the marketplace where managing and servicing space is just not enough. The tenants or the employees of places we manage want experiences that will add to their working life, will add to their enjoyment and productivity at work. And so we started with Nonita, who leads SILA Engage, basically a platform to provide wellness, training, and event-based activities, which will help people and employees interact better within the spaces we manage, and which we believe will lead to better productivity and a better work-life balance.
Okay, awesome. I've been actually chatting with Nonita a lot, and I love what you guys are doing with SILA Engage. And a lot of our Networking Now members are in touch with her to do events and do podcasts. And I think it's really cool because it's touching on so many different things, that employee engagement and keeping them happy is ultimately the aim, right?
Correct. So, we also must realize that over the next few years, millennials will be the largest employable category, and soon Gen Z walks into the Gen Z, the oldest being 25 now, so they walk into the marketplace to look for jobs, and the way they and their aspirations in life are very different from our parents' generation. So one needs to keep up with
Yeah.
changing times, and that's what we're trying to do with SILA Engage.
Okay. So thanks for that. Now, of course, we're all going through this crisis together, and it's tough times for most. I know that I see in my network a lot of people write to me being like, what next? What can we do? And that's why I have you here today. So can you tell me how you've approached this with the company, and how your work from home policy has been, and how you guys managing to really connect with, you have so many employees?
Yeah, so it's obviously something that we're all, there's no playbook for this, right? And we're all learning each day, and making sure that collectively as a team, this is not a problem that me or my brother are going to solve. It's every stakeholder, which is us, our employees, our investors, our clients. Everyone needs to kind of bind together to find solutions for this problem. The government, another big stakeholder, which will help companies like us, startups, MSMEs, even large industry tied through this. So the steps we've taken, I'll kind of just give you a list of 5 points that I sent along with Rushab, our team, a few days ago, I think the same 5 points hold true for most companies. Is that number one is focus on the process, right? So the processes that you have set up in the company should maybe a little tougher to focus on while sitting at home, but you need to make sure that the show must go on. So whether it's your reporting, whether it's the SOPs that you have laid out, whether it's timelines, whether it's tracking collections. So focus on those processes that you're running in your company. It's tougher to do now, but you need to be more dogged about doing that. The second is, and very important, is cash flow management. So obviously this is a time where everyone is scrambling to collect money from their clients, and then in turn pay money to their vendors and suppliers. So a serious focus needs to be played today in cash flow management, and that's what we as a company are doing. We're tracking every rupee that comes in and every rupee that goes out quite stringently. And it's important, and I think this is something that all companies will need to do for the better half of this year. The third thing is, in this time, you do get some more time at home. You don't have busy work to do. You can try and see if there are ideas and innovations that you can find in your business. Sometimes I find my best ideas while traveling, because I don't have a chalk schedule at work, and I can really disconnect and think. So, think about how you can do things better in the company, and try and improve on processes. The last two are to do with, the softer sides, right? So this is a time where the team needs to bind together. So we have, asked, and we're speaking to our senior managers to kind of really be that backbone and support infrastructure for younger employees, younger managers who need that, right? And that is something that we're trying to do as much as we can, because it's not an easy time for anyone, whether you're a business owner or an employee or a daily wage worker. And the last point is that be positive, because at the end of the day, this is going to pass. Being negative is going to clutter your thought, and try and stay as positive as we can. So these are the 5 points we sent in an email, I think, a week ago to our employees, and we're hoping to follow through on each of them.
Okay, that's actually amazing, because so many people have asked me, smaller, I'm saying freelancers even, or people who employ maybe 3 or 4 people, they don't even know what to say to those 3 or 4 people, because budgeting at a time like this for monthly salaries, I mean, it's very different. So they don't even know whether to send out an email, to wait another 15 days. But these are great points to hear from you. So actually, the next point that I had is, if you do have pending, I mean, this is a little, I'm going to put it very easy, but what if you have pending payments from, companies? Do we reach out to them? Do we not? How do we go about this?
So, if you have pending payments to receive and pending payments to make, in both cases, and I'm assuming that there is cash flow stress, in both cases, one needs to communicate, right? The worst thing anyone can do today is to not be transparent with anyone you need money from or owe money to. So the first thing to do is communicate, and explain the situation very transparently and honestly. I think I'm going to go with the assumption that most people are empathetic with what is going on in the world today, and are not going to go back to their contracts and agreements and force majeure clauses, which is something that will also happen in time. But right now, the best approach as an initial is an interest-based approach, which is communicating well with vendors, suppliers, and your clients, and really pushing them to pay you so that you can take care of your liability side.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a valid point. Okay. So talk a little bit about SILA Engage. Can you tell us how you work with some of the biggest corporates, and how did that start off? Like, what kind of classes do you guys do, and what do you do for employee engagement, really?
Yeah, so it's broken up into three broad buckets, and these buckets have various facets to it. The first is wellness, so where we run wellness programs for corporates. This could be mental health training. It could be, which is a big issue today, and we have tied up with some of the best experts to come in and talk to employees about dealing with stress, anxiety, personal pressures, professional pressures. So mental health is one aspect. The second is just health related, so nutrition, fitness, holding classes for people. And the third is, on the wellness front, is how to balance and organize your lives better. So we have different modules and seminars that we carry out for different companies, and they've been well received. And the companies range from large global insurance corporations to manufacturing companies to even small startups who want us to come in and talk to a group of 3 to 5 employees and really start that process of engagement, which helps their employees grow personally and professionally. The second bucket is training. And this is a massive area. Corporate training is not new. We're not doing something novel out here. But what we do is since many of these clients are existing clients of ours, we understand their business, their service, and the DNA of that company. So what we're able to do is to tailor trainings which the management feels are very, very focused and pertinent to their company. And that's what we do on the training side. So training could be from soft skills training to very, very focused technical training to just safety, fire safety training, which we've held at a lot of manufacturing units. So training is the second bucket. And the third is events, which is something that all corporates do with town halls, annual days, big corporate events, investor summits. So we end up then becoming that one-stop solution for them, whether it's on the wellness front, training front, or events. Plus, we're also providing their essential services, which is the facility management, the security, the housekeeping. Those are the, so I would put it that the essential services are the need to have, and the SILA Engage services are nice to have. But that combination is something that, and a balance is something that most corporates are, working with us on.
Okay. So how do you kind of measure this? How do you know the success rate of this? How do you guys work with this one with the companies?
So the best way to measure is to take client feedback. And when I say client feedback, it's not only the HR manager or admin manager who has given us this work order to provide these services, but it's also the people who receive the service. So the employees who we've engaged with over that day or week or months, taking feedback from them is, to be honest, the most truest form of analytical data that we get. Yes, we can track the success of this with repeat customers and referrals, but the best way and the way we're improving all of these activities is by taking very, very honest and constructive feedback from the people who are receiving these services.
Okay, so just to ask you now, since a lot of the world, and especially I feel after these days that we're sitting at home, is really moving to digital. I feel like in the last 2 weeks, the amount we've used digital platforms, I think most people haven't used in a year.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? And what do you think, are there any roadblocks in that in terms of, employers facing with their employees in a world of digital today?
No, I don't think so. I think that, there are two types of companies. There are companies that want their own proprietary digital platforms to share, services, programs, information internally. Those are typically the larger companies, right? Where we're working with, integrating with their platforms, through APIs, all the services that we're providing at SILA through different, softwares that we've built. And then there are the other companies who are, happy to use softwares that are extremely robust, like, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Zoom. So, you don't really need to be that big of a company to kind of welcome digital transformations within the company. I actually think sometimes it's easier to use something that everyone needs to use. Most of our projects are run on WhatsApp, and it seems to be the most efficient way to work. So, as companies get bigger, they do invest in their own proprietary platforms and softwares, but the ones available for free are also usable.
Okay. So just to move on back to COVID-19, and a time like this, for a lot of my platform people are freelancers, and they're used to working from home, but or also companies where all their people work remotely. So what is your opinion on forecasting and budgeting as an independent business owner in a time like this? So you have no inflow of cash really. So what can they do in a time like this?
So, and this doesn't go only for, the freelancer or the small business owner or entrepreneur, but even for the largest companies. And in a time like this, which is unprecedented, you forecast for the worst, and you hope for the best. So, so the way I would forecast this, and the way we're doing it, to be honest, is planning that for the next 3 to 6 months, there's going to be a massive hit in revenue. And we're hoping, again, as I said, forecast for the worst, hope for the best. We're hoping that that's not true, but you need to have plan A, plan B, plan C on figuring out what will really happen. So, for example, if I'm a photographer and I'm a freelancer who has this business, there's a very strong chance that my shoots for the next 3 months are canceled. Right now, the photographer has people who rely on him or her, the lighting person. I don't know much about photography. I'm just thinking out aloud, but the lighting person, the studios that they book, there must be a lot of knock-on effect of, that photographer not getting his or her, assignments for the next 3 months. So again, there you need to communicate, to these people and vendors that, we're going to tide through this together. If you have some money saved up, help your ecosystem out by spending some of it, not all of it, right? I don't recommend spending all your savings over the next 2 months in order to save the situation. You need to be prudent. Selfish is the wrong word in this time, but you need to be prudent, in making sure that you are able to survive this. Only when you survive it will the ecosystem around you survive it. So if you have pay cuts, it needs to be done, right? And these are all conversations we're having on a daily basis right now. We haven't taken any of those calls yet, but we are assessing those situations daily.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, forecast for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think that's okay. So my last 2 questions before I open it out to people asking me questions there is, so what should the government do to help small businesses and startups? What's your view on this?
I don't know if many of you or your viewers got to check out, what the finance minister came up with this afternoon. But basically, the government today announced a slew of measures for, the bottom of the pyramid, which is the correct, view to take. Is that, first we must help those daily wage workers, minimum wage workers, the people who are really, at the bottom of a pyramid who need the support during this time because they don't have their daily wage or steady income. So the government has gone ahead and done that today. What I would expect and what maybe I was also expecting today is that the government needs to figure out how to help industry, the SME, MSME, and startups that are in this space. Now, it could be with forbearing EMIs and loans for a few months. It could be with a stimulus package to banks, which could then trickle down to providing credit to such businesses in the times of need. So I think that was missing, but I'm hoping that over the next week, the government comes out with packages which countries like the US and UK have kind of leveraged their entire balance sheet. A couple of $1 trillion from the US, around 350, 400 billion from the UK. India doesn't have that size of a balance sheet, unfortunately, but they do have a balance sheet that they can use. Some of the oil subsidy can be used, in this time to help those who really need it.
Yeah, I hope that the next few days, like you said, every day there's something more positive and more being rolled out that really can give people hope. So the other question I had is there anything from you on this bit is what should companies do during this time to come out stronger than ever? So is there anything that you guys are following at SILA that you can recommend that people do as well?
Yeah, so as I started off, right, that firstly, bind together as a team, stay positive, because without that, nothing's going to happen. And you need to have clarity in thought that this is going to pass, clarity and positivity that this is going to pass. The next few things are, as we discussed, right? Stick to the process. Even if you're working from home, be dogged about, how you run your business. Communicate efficiently and regularly with your team members. The second piece of that is on focus on cash flow. It's imperative to know about every rupee that's coming in and every rupee that's going out, because it is going to be a tough time. And the last is use this time to innovate, right? And think of ideas, think of things that you or your company or your teams can do better. And I think a combination of all these things will ensure that companies do come out stronger. Through all these crises, and there have been a couple that we can remember of in our lifetimes, is that, through the dot-com crisis, large companies like Amazon, Google came out. Through the financial crisis, the banks became much stronger. So I'm sure through this crisis also, there will be some winners, but the winners are going to be the ones that are dogged about following these processes.
Yeah, yeah. So what about real estate? Because you guys are in that, and you guys are in that field, and real estate has been taking a hit for a while now. And I think only with this, I don't know how people going to recover in that field, and are people going to be spending soon again?
Yeah, that's a tricky question because we've been waiting for the sector to turn for a while. Real estate has multiple problems. Without going into much detail and boring the audience on the problems of the real estate sector, the largest one is liquidity. There is very little liquidity because there are two things not happening. One is buyers are not thronging the market, and second is that the lenders are refraining from lending to the sector. It's a high capex oriented sector, so you need a lot of capital for the sector. So I think liquidity is something that will help solve a lot of the issues in the real estate sector. The government has come out with many such programs to help developers and help even buyers buying their flats and guaranteeing the downside. SBI came out with something, but nothing is really fructified on ground. So we're waiting for all these large measures and schemes to really show on ground. And real estate's one of the largest employers in the country after agriculture. So it is a sector that needs to turn for us to get out of this situation.
Okay, so like we said, let's hope for the best. My last two questions before I just take what people are writing there is, since you have been sitting at home, do you have any recommendations? Because a lot of in fact, in my DMs, I got to ask you of any books that you read that you think would be helpful in this time, or even any online classes, because I can see a lot of people with free time and they're willing to take on some online classes. So is this something you've explored?
Yeah, I am reading. I am reading books. I think reading is a great way to get out of seeing your screen time. If everyone sees their screen time over the last few days, it's probably going to shock each one of us. So so I am reading. I'm reading a couple of books right now, and I'm enjoying spending time reading. But I am also taking online courses. The ones that I'm doing, London Business School is offering, and it's not only London Business School, but it's a lot of business schools are offering free classes. So I've been doing these courses at London Business School. I'll share the link with you and you can post it. But basically, it's very, very easy. It's on Zoom, and they have their professors, teaching class material and also discussing topics that are very, very focused to a crisis. So negotiating through a crisis, leading through a crisis. I think there's one on the 31st of March, which is leading through a crisis. I think most big universities are offering these free courses to people. So, some pay $120,000 to go to these classes. We can do it for free, so there's no excuse not to do it.
Yeah,
correct.
We can do it sitting at home. Okay, so I'm going to just take, I think we have, according to you, what are the ways brands across categories can contribute digitally?
I'm not a branding expert, so let me qualify that in saying that, we're B2B company largely, and our marketing, sales, and brand building is more engaging with our customers, focusing on our CRM, and taking feedback and improving. But I'm assuming you're talking about B2C brands at this point who want to stay relevant during this time. And again, it comes back to communication. I've read, of companies, that are, their business and revenues have shut down, but they're sending course material, they are hosting, workshops online on their Instagram pages, just like you are, right? So you're doing a great job today while everyone's sitting at home and, hosting these live sessions. So find innovative ways to engage with your audience online, whether it's through workshops, live videos, taking surveys, and just sharing good information to stay relevant at this time.
Okay, there's one more which says, what learning and skilling tools can people use while they are at home?
Yeah, so coming back to what I said, right? So from watching TED Talks, which is one of my favorite things to do, to reading books that you've not been able to, getting some of these books are difficult right now with delivery services shut, but, they have online versions. And then these online courses, I mean, think about it, these are the best professors in the world discussing, these topics, whether it's the ones at LBS or HBS or, INSEAD has programs too that are offered for free to people who want to go. So, take advantage of these situations and sign up for these courses.
I think that's
helpful.
a wise thing because we have time.
Correct.
Okay, somebody's asked, MLM-based companies remain recession-proof. How real is this notion?
Multi-level marketing, is that's what the question is?
Yeah.
I don't think anything is recession-proof. I would argue that facilities management, it's a defensive business, right? We're providing basic services of security, housekeeping, hygiene, which is the basic need of businesses. But we're feeling the brunt of it also, right? Because offices are shut, malls are shut, hotels that we manage are shut. So I don't think any of these businesses are recession proof. And even though multi-level marketing can be done from homes, the consumer's wallet is shut right now, right? And the consumer's wallet right now is shut and opens only for the essentials, as most of the consumers don't know or don't have visibility of their paychecks, of where their companies are going. So I don't think any business is recession proof. Yes, there may be some that are more defensive and will come out of it faster than the consumer discretionary spend. But I don't think it's a real notion.
Okay, my last question is, moving on to a lighter note, is at a time like this, firstly, I always love what you guys post on LinkedIn and how you handle your, like I got an email from you guys saying, in case someone in your building has tested positive, what you should do. So if you could just touch upon that, what's your strategy in terms of marketing? I love the way you guys adapted to everything that's happening around the world. So, because I think a lot of people do send out mails and stuff on a regular to their customers. So anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, so we don't on the marketing front, our strategy is quite simple. It's that we put out content sporadically, but when we put it out, it's high quality content. Since again we're a B2B company and we don't need to be in the face of the consumer 3 times a day or spend on sponsoring posts, and on Facebook or Instagram or any other platform. Our strategy is that given the budgets that we have carved out for marketing, we focus on putting out high quality content. And even if we do it twice a week, as opposed to other companies who do it daily, we've tried to make sure that we're putting out messaging that is something that is really useful and it's not going to clutter people's inboxes or social media feeds. So that's one thing that we've done as a strategy. And the second is very, very focused analytics. So on every post we put out or every email we send out, we're really tracking metrics quite closely to see what's working, what's not working. Our databases are quite well segregated on demographics, industry, people, and we're really trying to study, what messaging works for whom. So I think even on small budgets, and I think, smaller companies, freelancers have small budgets for marketing, it's the quality of the content you put out and then the analytics behind it to know if it's quality, because quality in your eyes may be different, but really it's the consumer who tells you what's quality content, not you. So, and that comes with the analytical side, which is all free, right? So you can go on a Google dashboard or Facebook analytics and really see, or on MailChimp or whichever platform you're using, and really study the data and then refine your database at all times, right? That database is gold for you. So you need to keep refining that database and pushing some content to some parts of your database and not to everyone else, to make sure that people receive your messaging well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sahil. It's been great having you here. I think people have learned, asked questions, and I've learned a lot just listening to you, because it's been tough times in the last few days, I'm sure, for everyone. I hope you enjoy your time for the next 20 days at home and make the most of it. And take some downtime too.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shan. And thank you for all that you're doing. I mean, I've been using networking now for a while, as a user, and I think it's a great ecosystem that you've built. And most people who use it, use it quite often and use it, and it's a useful source of information for all of us. So great work with what you're doing, and keep it up. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Bye.